On last week's show, me and Rick went out and set out a couple of trail cameras for the Exodus experiment. And I was interested to see what would happen with those. And it was kind of interesting results. I mean, it took a week before I got a picture of a deer, and it was a doe with fawns, and that doe was locked on the camera. So obviously we had a huge impact on the area. But I figured eventually it would settle down. I mean, we circled that whole bedding area, and people do that. I mean, it's a hunted area. So we just waited. And I've had COVID. I've been kind of dragging, and I'm still on lockdown at the house here. But I woke up this morning and decided to check my cameras. I didn't check them yesterday. I was feeling a little off. Checked the cameras, and lo and behold, I got a big buck on there from 2 nights ago, coming out of the bedding area. I mean, not a monster, but a nice buck. But then the very next picture is yesterday afternoon, is a guy walking past the camera. And that camera's pretty remote, it's way back there. And the next picture after that is the last picture, and it is the guy locked on the camera looking at it. So that piqued my interest. So I tried to have the camera send me a picture. It wouldn't send one. And it said that it was still powered up, but it wouldn't send me a picture. So it made me think maybe somebody took the card out of it. But I don't know a lot about the cameras, so maybe somebody took it. But something changed. It would not send me a picture on demand. So I crawled out of bed, got my boots on, and headed out. Well, COVID's kicking my butt today. But regardless, I am in the swamp because I got my first big buck picture, well, decent buck, on the cell cam. And the very next picture, some dude staring right into the camera. And the camera quit taking pictures right after that. I tried to make it take a picture, did not get one. So I'm thinking he may have taken the camera or stolen the card. Either case, it's theft. The camera is still up another 500 yards or so through this nasty swamp, and I gotta go through all these stinging nettles and stuff that are over my head. Crazy somebody else was out here in this crap. Jesus. Face full of stinging nettles is never fun. Maybe I can get into the woods here. If I got that notification when he was on camera, it would take him an hour to get to that parking lot. I could have been at the parking lot waiting for him before he got there. The area is muddy and low enough that you can see all the footprints. You can see the tracks. And you can see that it was me, Rick, and this other guy that went back there, and that was it. Except for I did find a big buck track, which was the buck that walked in front of the camera. Alright, here's the first camera. This is not the cellular one. Okay. Card is stolen. So we have theft. So come down to the little river crossing, and there's my print. Here's his print. It's a smaller boot. He's only like a size 10 or something, looks like, right? Because I'm a size 13 there. See the difference? and here's the cell cam. Now I'm almost willing to bet that if he stole the card off of that camera, he stole the card out of this camera. So let's check. Card is stolen. He's got a backpack on him. And that backpack makes me wonder if he's got trail cams with him. Why else would he have a backpack? Maybe some water or something, but I don't know, it's a good chance he's putting out trail cams. That's how most people scout this time of the year. So I thought I'd take a little closer look around, and I can see his tracks kind of follow him. So I've been up and down these trails in this whole vicinity by the first camera, by this camera, and looking at the tracks. The tracks by that camera are the same tracks that are at this camera, and I could still see mine and Rick's boot prints faintly in the mud on the trails coming in and out of here, and I can see this guy's prints really well because they're very fresh, and there are no other boot prints in here. So it looks to me like he was the only person in this area other than me and Rick, and his tracks go right up this trail. You can see where they're walking. Right here, and here's where they stop. They don't go any further. And this is where I took the picture of them. See my camera on the ground now? My camera's right on that tree there. This is where I got the picture of them, is right in here. And then if you look close, you can make out a footprint there and there. Here he comes around to the back side of the camera. It's the only boot print going in here, only boot print going to the camera. Alright, I've been through this whole woods trying to track this guy down. It's pretty obvious he came from the parking lot. We're going up his trail a ways backwards the way he came into mine. It looks like he may have set up a trail cam right here. This is the trail he used, so that might be his right there. So I don't have a card reader on me, and I don't want to be a thief, so I think I'm going to mark this location, come back with a card reader, and I'm going to see if there's any other images of that guy on that. Okay, I came all the way back out here with a card reader and pulled the images off this guy's card, and then put his card back. That is legal. And I normally don't look at other people's cards, legal or not. It is on public land. You do have legal use of anything left on public land, as long as you're not breaking into it or stealing it. I did look at the pictures, bring the images up. I normally don't do that because it's unethical to me. But I did it in this case because I'm investigating somebody stealing my cards. And what I got is an image of this camera being set up. You can't see the person, you see from his belly down when he set the camera up the day before my cards were taken. Then the day my cards were taken, 10 minutes after they were taken, a person walks back past here and his head's cut off, but he's coming from my cards right down there, and he's wearing the same clothes, same backpack. You see the same symbol in the corner of his shirt. Now, different cameras will make colors look different. So it might look a little green on this one, a little purple on the other one, but it's the same shirt. You can see the symbol on it, it's the same backpack. I backtracked that guy up this ridge when he left to see if he left any cameras. If you recognize this guy, don't put it in the comments or anything, but send me a private message and let me know who you think it is, and I'll investigate that. Somebody's got to recognize this guy. To some, this might seem like a small matter, but really, I'm so sick of public land bullies picking on the rest of us, messing with our trucks when we're in the woods, messing with our equipment, and messing with us. And I think they can get away with it because there's nobody looking. But really, I think there's more evidence than they realize. And a few more of us should stand up and say something, because I think it's a small minority of the hunting community that acts and behaves this way. And if we all stand up and say something and we do something about it and expose those people, I think we can end this stuff. Or at least make it a little better. When I got home First I called a friend of mine who's a police officer, and I asked him some advice, Joe. Then I called the Jefferson County warden, Alex, and I asked Alex if he thought I should pursue this, and he did. He thought that we should probably look into this, that there might be enough evidence that maybe he can find something out of this. We did have a conversation on whether or not this falls under DNR jurisdiction or the sheriff's jurisdiction. The warden explained to me that that the DNR's definition of hunter harassment has to do with one-on-one contact, where somebody's in your face screaming at you. So that this doesn't fall under that, but would fall under, more than likely, sheriff's jurisdiction. But he was still very happy to help out with this, and if at some point we need to turn it over to the sheriff's department, we're going to do that. Now it's kind of a bummer that we got this big plan, the Exodus experiment, and the very first camera gets messed with by some moron. I mean, come on, right? So, I mean, really, people, ethics and morals, don't mess with people's stuff, you know, and I think this is a good video because everybody's got issues like this. This happens to everybody. I know it does because it happens to me a lot. You know, somebody takes my card, somebody steals my camera. I have people go across the private land. I mean, things like that happen constantly. And at some point in time, when it goes over a certain line, you have to put your foot down. If you've had bad experiences in public land, put a comment below. I'd like to hear about it. Let me know what's happened to you. Have you had cards stolen, cameras stolen, tree stands stolen, bad confrontations? Let's think about the young people out there coming into hunting. Your kids, and how they're going to be intimidated when somebody does this to them, and they're going to back off and not want to hunt public land no more. Or new hunters. Or your wife or girlfriend coming into the sport for the first time. Or your best buddy at work. How are they going to take us, and how are they going to think hunters are when we allow this minority of people to mess with everybody? Thanks for joining me this week. Kind of a different type of subject, but I still hope you learned a thing or two. And I hope I have a follow-up video with resolving this case. See ya.
Hey folks, Chad here with Exodus. You know, running trail cameras on public ground can be a lot of fun, and it can be very fruitful. Unfortunately, you also have to worry about certain circumstances. Like Dan found out, as many others have over the years, as we have, a lot of our customers, you do have to worry about trail camera theft and people stealing your SD cards, tampering with your SD cards, deleting photos. And while you can do some things to deter it, there's nothing you can do to completely prevent it. It's just a morality issue. You're never going to change the way of the entire world. So unfortunately, it's something that, you know, us public land hunters, we just kind of have to put up with and tolerate and do our best to deter it. So to start, you can do the obvious. You can use lock boxes and cables and Python cables and all of those sorts of locking mechanisms. But when push comes to shove, a lot of this stuff just keeps honest guys honest. We've had customers who have had lock boxes lag bolted to a tree and cabled up, locked, and come back and the damn tree's cut down. So again, those are the obvious things you could do. I personally do not like cables and lock boxes because it's an added thing to carry around. Managing the keys when you're running a high number of cameras, you know, it's just not for me. So the things that I like to do is, number one, I ditch the strap. We adopted this method a couple years ago where we are not using straps and using paracord. What that does is it limits the 360-degree profile that camera actually has. So, you know, a lot of times when you're walking through the woods, you may not see a camera, but you catch a strap. So just simply eliminating that strap using paracord is a pretty good tip. you know, a lot of guys talk about running elevated sets, running cameras up high, taking a stick or two in and getting those cameras up, you know, 10, 12, 13, 14 feet. You know, if theft is a worry, that is a good way to deter it. If folks can't see it, they can't steal it. The downside to that is it does limit the detection capability of your camera. Now, if you're in a static environment monitoring a scrape, maybe you're on public in a state where you can bait and you're running cameras on bait, you know, you're already kind of monitoring those static environments. So getting that camera raised up isn't necessarily going to hurt you as much. But when you're running them on trails or a food plot or a bedding area or something of that nature, it becomes a little, there's more cons to those types of sets because of the gap you're creating when you get that camera hung up in the air. For example, if you get a camera up in the air 10 feet and it's on a 45-degree angle, you know, a 1-to-1, you just created a 10-foot gap underneath that camera. So you just have to be careful and know the pros and cons to hanging that camera up in the air. Now, when it comes to, you know, a scenario like Dan ran into with a cell camera, there are some things that you can do to kind of alert yourself, I guess, if someone is messing with that camera. One of those things is, you know, keeping your camera up in real-time upload. So you're getting those photos kind of as they're taken. You know, with Dan's camera and our cell cameras, that happens in about 20 seconds. So in a scenario where that camera is an hour from a parking lot, it's an hour walk, and you get somebody messing or walking in front of that camera, you know, and you send that camera some type of request and it does not respond, then you kind of know something had kind of happened, and maybe you can cut that guy off the parking lot and not confrontationally confront him, but, you know, go about that in the right manner. So if you're running cell cameras, that's something you could do. Keep those things in real-time uploads. And the other thing is too, you know, running cameras on public, everybody is dropping pins on the same kind of topography, the same edge. There's guys. Everyone is more educated these days. So guys are scouting similar stuff when they see you know, a big community scrape, or they see a highway coming out of a bedding area. Most of the time, guys are going to look around for cameras. When you get in those types of scenarios, when you're monitoring kind of, you know, Mike Tyson punch you in a no sign, don't put your cameras right on top of that stuff. Move your cameras back 20, 25 feet, maybe 30 feet, wherever that sweet spot is for that specific device, and get them kind of out of the way. Use trees that are maybe split trunked where it covers up that side profile of the camera a little bit. Get your cameras, you know, don't hang them belly height. If you don't want to elevate them, you can certainly run them 6 to 8 feet. Kind of an awkward height where, you know, your eyes just don't naturally go. So those are some of the things that you could do to deter theft. Again, you're never going to completely eliminate it. I know guys who have gone through steps of, you know, buying antennas and super gluing them on cameras, regular SD card cameras, to make them look like cell cameras. I know guys that use GPS stickers or property of ODNR stickers, or stickers that show the camera being property of the Department of Natural Resources. So guys go through a lot of added steps. They get really creative with camouflage and things that they could do with cameras, but at the end of the day, it's just a deterrent. You're never going to completely stop it. And unfortunately, that is just the way of the world. And the only thing I think we could do as public land advocates and public land hunters is just put our best foot forward and do our part, you know, while we're in the whitetail woods. So hopefully those couple tips help. We hope you guys have an awesome season. We are jacked up and pumped up for the 2022 season here in the Exodus office. We wish you guys the best.